China's investment in Sri Lanka's new oil refinery is a strategic move. China has made a significant investment in Sri Lanka. They are funding a new oil refinery. This project is worth $3.7 billion. It's the largest foreign direct investment in Sri Lanka's history. Sinopec is building this refinery. Sinopec is a Chinese state-owned oil company. This is their first major project outside of China. The refinery will have a significant capacity. It will be able to process 200,000 barrels of oil per day. This project is part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. It's an initiative aimed at improving infrastructure and connectivity across Asia and beyond. The refinery's location is strategic. It's near the Hambantota port. China currently operates this port on a lease. The investment offers various potential benefits to Sri Lanka. It could boost the country's economy. The refinery is expected to create jobs and generate income. It could reduce Sri Lanka's dependence on imported fuel. Sri Lanka currently imports a significant portion of its fuel needs. India is watching these developments very closely. Chinese investment in Sri Lanka raises many concerns for India. One concern is the refinery's proximity to the Hambantota port. India sees this as a potential security risk. India and China are engaged in a geopolitical rivalry in the Indian Ocean region. The Hambantota port is strategically located in this region. Having a Chinese-built and operated oil refinery nearby adds to these concerns. Another concern for India is the potential impact on its own energy needs. India is a major supplier of refined petroleum products to Sri Lanka. The new refinery could reduce Sri Lanka's imports from India. This would be a setback for Indian companies operating in the Sri Lankan market. India is also concerned about the growing Chinese influence in Sri Lanka. In recent years, Sri Lanka has taken out large loans from China. These loans have given China leverage over Sri Lanka's decision-making. India is worried that China might use its economic influence to gain political influence in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is in a delicate position. The country is trying to balance its relationships with both China and India. Both countries are important economic and strategic partners for Sri Lanka. However, their interests often clash. Sri Lanka has tried to maintain a neutral stance. The country has been careful not to upset either China or India. Sri Lanka has accepted investments and aid from both countries. For example, during the recent financial crisis, India provided Sri Lanka with $4 billion in aid. Sri Lanka needs foreign investment to boost its economy. The country is also keen to develop its energy sector. The Chinese investment in the oil refinery is attractive to Sri Lanka in this regard. However, Sri Lanka is also mindful of India's concerns. Sri Lanka has taken several steps to address India's concerns. For example, in 2021, Sri Lanka leased an oil tank farm to India. Sri Lanka has also chosen India over China for certain energy projects. These steps show Sri Lanka's efforts to maintain balanced relationships with both Asian powers. The Chinese investment in Sri Lanka's oil refinery is significant in a broader regional context. It reflects the shifting power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific region. China's economic and military rise is challenging the existing regional order. Along with other countries like the US, Japan, and Australia, India is concerned about China's growing assertiveness. These countries are strengthening their partnerships to counter Chinese influence. Competition for energy resources is another factor shaping regional dynamics. Energy demand in Asia is growing rapidly. With their large populations and growing economies, China and India are major energy consumers. This leads to competition for access to energy resources in the region. The Chinese investment in Sri Lanka's oil refinery can be seen in this light. The deal secures China a piece of Sri Lanka's energy sector. It also gives China a potential strategic advantage in the Indian Ocean region. This development is likely to further exacerbate geopolitical rivalries between China and India in the Indo-Pacific.